Okay, we now welcome back onto the show Renee Gorman, National Manager of Generation Liberty. It's been a long 2 weeks since you've been on the show. We've missed you terribly, so welcome back.
I've missed you too.
All right, very cool.
She just keeps having big weeks.
She does. So, well, that's why we wanted to bring you on, because this is, I would say, unprecedented in IPA history. I don't know if we've ever done anything like this before, but the Generation Liberty has lodged a claim with the Queensland Human Rights Council. Now, why?
So you may have heard that Generation Liberty has had some problems with the QUT Guild. We requested to have a stall at Market Day. The Market Day is for external groups. We never claimed to be a student group. We were an external group that wanted to reach out to students. After we put in our application, we received an email that we were not able to have a stall because our brand didn't align with their values. We asked further questions and we got further confirmation that the reason why we weren't allowed to stall at Market Day was because our brand does not align with their values. And under Queensland discrimination laws, you're not allowed to discriminate on someone on the basis of political belief. So we think that that falls underneath that category, and we believe that we need to fight obvious examples like this case because Generation Liberty may have the power to push through stuff like this, but we need to do it for every single student who gets discriminated against because they're not left-wing. We need to do it for every kid out there that struggles with this every day. This is bigger than a stall. It's about, our fight against the censorship of ideas that happens on campus every single day.
Now, what is the process for lodging a claim with the Human Rights Council? Because, as far as I understood it, it used to be you just waited idly by in your home until Tim Sudamasan saw something on Twitter he didn't like, and then you were told to complain. But now that he's gone, I don't know what the process is.
Well, Morgan, our wonderful legal expertise in the office, has been going through the claim and filling out that form, and then we've sent it in. And from what I know, we have 28 days to wait before the Human Rights Commission has to get back to us. But we have, done the honourable thing, I believe, by letting the QUT Guild know straight away that we've made this claim, unlike, certain cases in the past where people have been left in the dark that there's been a complaint made about them.
Yeah, for 2 years or whatever that was. Yeah, just for people that don't know what we're talking about, go back and listen to it was just like the 18C at QUT cases where kids were left in the dark for 2 years on whether or not they were it's something to answer for.
That's right. Now, how have things got to this point, Renee, for the IPA to go to one of these bodies that are located around Australia? Things must be pretty grim. How have things got to this point?
Yeah, well, so, we've gone back and forth on these because, the IPA generally doesn't believe that these laws are a good thing. But our thought was, if the federal government's not going to step in, if no one's going to step in and stop what's happening on campus, stop the censorship of ideas, then this was our last resort and we had to do it. And, the left actually believes these laws should exist. And, probably the Guild believes these laws should exist. Then they should abide by these laws. And this is an obvious example of political discrimination.
I'm glad you raised that about the fact that the IPA thinks maybe a lot of these bodies shouldn't exist and things like that. Was that an internal discussion that you had with, Morgan and other people, or something that you talked about a lot? Because I'm sure a lot of our listeners are thinking, you guys don't think this should exist. What was the discussion around that?
Yeah, I had a lot of talks with Morgan about it, and also Chris Decker himself, because he is a very strong libertarian and is about reducing the size of government as much as possible. I just think it is a case where we have to, if there was no other option available to us, we couldn't just let this happen again and again and again. We need to be fighting because there are other kids that don't have the opportunity to do this, like single individuals who get discriminated against, who stay quiet, and we need to say, we'll fight for you. And also, I guess the university isn't really like a private body that is, can discriminate. It's a publicly funded body. Yeah, that's really important point, is that especially the Guild, the QUT Student Guild, is funded by compulsory fees called SAF, which every student has to pay, $308 roughly to every student every year. So if they are going to be funded by compulsory fees but from the students and then also billions of dollars from taxpayers, then they need to be a forum of open discussion and open learning. And also their decisions have to be transparent. They can't just say your brand does not align with our values. They still haven't told us what those values are and how we don't align.
Yeah,
you need
for
to make your decision-making transparent for the student body to know what you're doing.
Yeah, one thing I've been really noticing is like this has gone very public in the media. Like a lot of people in the media are talking about it. It was on page 5 of The Australian today. It was commented on Paul Murray Live and Hardgrave last night. I can't remember the exact words of the Hardgrave quote, but he did have something very nice to say about Renee. So, you know, you can name drop now. You're not bringing it up. It's me bringing it up. I just can't remember the names. But what did Gary Hardgrave say?
I think that the reason the QUT Guild wasn't allowing Generation Liberty on campus was because they were scared of an intelligent, strong woman like Renee Gorman.
There we go.
She's actually made it a
co-sign.
So
Co-sign on that one. But let's talk about, so what does the media coverage of this tell you? Like the fact that this is like when it happened, it was in the Australian, it was in the Australian again. Like people seem to really care about free speech on campus.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone cares about this because they see universities as, you know, they're the training grounds for our future politicians in a lot of ways. A lot of the people who run student guilds eventually go on to work in politics. So I think they believe that these should be, you know, squares of open learning. They should be exposed to all ideas. And I think they're getting really sick of so many cases of obvious discrimination against kids who aren't left-wing, conservative or libertarian or classical liberal. And nothing gets done. The government doesn't do anything. The administrations don't do anything. And I think in this case, they're really happy to see someone willing to take the fight to them.
And I reckon a lot of universities are a huge battleground, you know, and older people and middle-aged people recognise that because, you know, it's hard to convince someone who's 40 or 50 to change their views about the environment or whatever. But at secondary school and at universities, that's when people are forming their opinions about these things. So I reckon heaps of people see these kind of battles as really important.
And yeah, and the whole thing is Generation Liberty and, you know, the IPA, we don't want, you know, the left to be off campus we're fine with the socialist clubs having their millions of events and covering the university and posters, but it's when they're trying to stop other ideas on campus that's what you've got a problem.
Now, when we talk about, like, so there's O weeks and there's market days that are happening all across this country and people are signing up to Generation Liberty. Well, one thing I've noticed in, like, when we talk about the results of the membership campaign is, like, in Queensland, we're doing very well. And it does seem to be that students in Queensland are sick of it themselves. They're just like, you know what, if this thing is getting booted off campus and I don't want these things booted off campus, I'm going to support.
Yeah, we've had an absolutely overwhelming result in Queensland. So Mitchell, our campus coordinator at the University of Queensland, actually called me on the day of his O Week when he had his stall to say, Renee, we're doing really well, but I think I might run out of stuff. There's only so much stuff I can give out. So we had over 60 people sign up in a day. So Queensland seems to be really behind this, and Queensland young people seem to be behind this. That number keeps going up, and I think it's because they really get it. They understand that this QUT Guild issue is about more than a stall. It's about the continuous discrimination that certain students face at universities.
So those tote bags were really popular.
Yeah, the Eleanor tote bags were very popular.
Can I ask, where's Eleanor today? Is she cut sick up in Queensland or something? Where is she?
Oh, no, she's gone up Queensland. You know, she's got to go, fight the QUT Guild. You know, she's making her way up there now.
For new listeners, Eleanor being the mascot of Generation Liberty, the Don't Tread on Eleanor
the Echidna.
Yeah. Eleanor the Echidna, yeah. All right, so back home in Victoria, another student group has been kicked off campus as well, the Victorian Liberal Students Association.
Yep.
I've got that right. Victorian Liberal Student Association. Don't know what else it would have been. But surprise, surprise, it's a group on our side of politics and they get kicked off campus. So what happened on this one?
So interestingly, I was actually there on the day and I did a little experiment and walked around to all the socialist groups that had set up tables. So there was, set up areas for affiliated clubs where they should be. But then there was just random, 50-year-old socialists who had set up tables all over the university.
They're called mature age students and they are the lifeblood of a university.
They haven't finished their PhD yet.
So I went up to them and I pretended I was interested and I'm just like, hey, my club would like to set up a table sometime. Did you have to, pay to be here or get permission or fill out any forms? They're like, no, we just set up it's fine. And then
sneaky.
I went and talked to another guy and I said, oh, so you just set up a table? He's like, yeah, you should do it too, man. Fight the neoliberal university. If they have a problem with your table, come talk to me.
Oh,
so that was like,
let's get that guy on the show. Let's get his 2 cents about it.
you guys should set up there one day and see what happens. So I was like, okay, this seems a bit weird. Certain rules apply to some and certain rules don't apply to others. And then I went and saw that VLSA, which is made up of genuine students, all at Melbourne University, out the front of the uni with all their banners packed up because they got kicked out. And then they tried to go back as just private citizens, as students of the university, just to hand out pamphlets, and they got kicked out again. So it seemed like a massive double standard that was happening there on the day.
Have they considered growing dreadlocks and removing footwear and smelling? Just to like sort of throw people off. Like maybe it's that, maybe you just need to look like you're a socialist and then you just slide them a Liberal Student Association pamphlet.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that to Charlotte. She's a very well put together young lady. I don't want her to lower herself to that.
All right, well, I'm still on the table with dreadlocks. But what I don't get is that if you are a university administrator and you're a socialist, then the one thing you...
Does that person exist, Joe? I'm not sure.
I think there's 2 of them in the country.
Okay.
But the point I'm trying to make is like, if you're one of those, and you don't want attention given to Generation Liberty or you don't want attention given to the Victorian Liberal Students Association, the best thing you can do for your case is nothing, because just let them have their stall. But the second you kick them off, suddenly it's in the Australian, suddenly it's on Sky News, suddenly people at the student around the campus are talking about it, and we get all these members at a different university in Queensland from people that want to sign up. So like, I don't get why they do the things that they do.
I don't think they're used to us fighting back as we have been as much as in the last few years. I think they've been getting away with this for a very long time and sweeping it under the rug. And it's only since Generation Liberty and new groups are starting to point it out, they're like, oh, our tactics aren't working anymore. Also, I think you're assuming a too large amount of intelligence.
I assume they're able to play 2D chess before they start playing 3D chess.
Yes.
So you mentioned with the case before the body, that's going to take how long did you say?
We got to wait 28 days.
28 days, okay. So that's the next thing. We'll get you on next time about that.
Yes, that sounds
Another
good.
2 weeks. All right. So Renee, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
And yeah, keep up the good work.
Cheers.